Hey guys, welcome back. Some of you guys might have been wondering what app am I using on Android. I'm using PyDroid 3 for all of this. You don't have to use the same IDE or integrated development environment as me. Um, so, anyways, we're going to continue on today's lesson. Um, so Okay, well, we know that we can't really, get the computer to do anything that we want it to do without communicating something. And we know about functions, and we've heard a little bit about keywords. Um, However, what we don't know is how to store anything to memory, right? We need some kind of container to put information in order to use it for later, right? Those containers are called variables. Now, if you look in the Python documentation, which you can find on python.org, you'll notice certain operators, and depending on which data type that you're using, these operators do some pretty unique things. So let's talk about one operator in particular. This operator is the equals sign. So we can use the equals sign as an assignment operator, just in general. You can assign a value to a variable using the equal sign. And what do I mean by that? Well, first you got to name your variable first, and then you assign the value to it, which is kind of backwards from what I said, but that's kind of human speak for you. I'm not perfect, and I'm doing this all in one take. So it takes a little bit of practice, and I'm going to get a little bit better as I move along. I'm out here in the desert night sky watching a satellite just kind of drift over. It's pretty interesting. I wish that you guys could probably see it, but I digress. So, anyways, what can we do with this, right? Because this is going to continue on, like I said. So we're just going to utilize some of the same code. We're going to do the exact same thing as what we did, but it's going to be on more lines, and there's going to be some more functionality with this that we can do. So we want to make this a little bit more functional. So let's go ahead and take this out. Right? We're just going to say, oh, hello world. We're not really getting any errors, right? But we can't really use this either because we have to be able to call on this. So we have to put it in a variable and assign that variable this value, right? That variable we can call, and whenever we call that variable, we're going to get that value. I know, sounds really complicated. It's really not, right? And whenever you're naming your variable, you want to make sure that you know and that anybody else who is reading your code knows exactly what this variable is, right? And I'm going to just call this greet world. Now, you'll notice, and I'm going to go ahead and assign it so I can get rid of that error. You'll notice that I started off with a lowercase g, right? I might have spelled greet wrong, but, I digress. I'm a terrible speller, but here I am teaching you guys programming. Who is this guy? Anyways, you'll notice that, yes, the first letter is lowercase, while the, second one is uppercase. You don't want to use periods or underscores or different stuff like that, depending on what a programming language that you guys are learning, that you could get an error, right? And typically what you want to do is, for any like function that you might create, that's a little bit of foreshadowing, by the way, or there's different conventions that you want to use, and you're going to hear that word a lot. Different conventions. What are conventions? Conventions is basically just the norm of what something is, or the culture around it, right? So the convention in this case is to use camel case, lower camel case, to suggest that it is a variable that you are calling, right? And for functions, you want to use upper camel case, to signify that it is a a function, right? And you'll notice that print in the last one started off with a lowercase p. That's kind of par for the course. But it's all lower caps and single word. I like to try to use double words to try to be as descriptive as possible, unless it's something to do with like mathematics, and I can get a little bit creative with that. But anyways, I digress. So to continue on, how are we going to use this, right? How are we going to use this and do the exact same thing, right? So if you remember before, we used print, right? And of course we have to put our call bubble. Now, instead of quotes, and you'll notice that this IDE is going to pull up a suggestion, right? In which case, I am going to actually use that suggestion, right? And bam, right away, right there is my variable. And click, and no more error. And whenever I hit play, we get the same exact message, right? I know, I've been talking a lot and I'm not doing a whole lot of coding. So what else can we do? So let's go ahead and let's just delete this, right? And we're just going to have a greet, right? We're just going to say greet. And what our greeting is going to be is just hello, right? And name. And this person we will just call David. That is not actually my name, but just random. Okay, well, what can we do with this, right? Well, now we can go ahead and call our print statement, right? And we can now combine these. But how are you going to combine these? Well, we're going to talk about another operator, the plus sign. You're not really adding strings together. No. What you're doing is you're concatenating. You're putting them together, but you're not adding them together, because you can't really perform mathematical operations on strings. Just be real, like characters. So let's go ahead and print our this, and then we're going to concatenate this with greet, and then we're going to put our person's name, and then we're going to run this. Hello David, hello world. Well, if you guys notice, whenever I concatenated those, that while it did print exactly as I stated, that there is no spacing after the first, or after world, right? So we got to do something about this, right? So what you can do is just put little quote, space, end quote, plus. And of course you have to do the same for here. So plus, space, plus. And whenever we run this, hello David, hello world. Okay, cool. But I want to be able to, do some other things with this. Like what else can I do to, make this a little bit more readable and maybe put this on 2 lines, right? Well, there's 2 ways to do this. You can use another print statement, or what you can use is another cool little thing, right? /n. What does that mean? That means new line, right? And if you notice, like whenever I put that /n, all of a sudden now all the other stuff lit up like that. Okay, well, what just happened? Well, that is escaping. I escaped that double quote. And whenever that happened, everything else was also escaped. And you have to, kind of end the escape in order to, it gets really complicated. We'll get into that whenever we talk about real expressions and stuff. But for now, let's see what this is going to do. Because obviously, just the regular spacing and different stuff. Like, is this going to just show forward, new line? Or, /n? Is it just going to show it? I don't know. Let's find out. Boom. Hello, David. Hello, world. Well, hello, world. Hello, David. Which, that's pretty cool, right? Now, you guys have learned, what variables are. You know that there are some operators that you can use, to kind of enhance your coding. And you learn, how to escape, certain things, and now, different stuff like that. Now, what you can do, just to kind of further the point, this is a little bit of extra, right? Oh. We're going to use single quotes this time, right? And this is why I like using double quotes, right? Normal convention, like some people prefer, single quotes. So, just check up on the convention, and you can find those, again, on whichever programming language that you guys are learning, on their, website, whether it's Java, which it's going to be through Oracle, Python, which is going to be python.org, JavaScript's the same way. All of them are like this. But anyways, so let's continue. We're going to put don't do that. And then we're going to put another one. So as you can see, there's an issue, right? So you remember what I said about the escape function. So what we're going to do is we're going to escape that. And then, we got just that. And now we are good to go. Now, hello David, hello world, hello David. And then don't do that, but with a /. Is it going to show the /? Let's find out. Hello David, hello world, don't do that. Now, if you wanted to show a forward slash, what you can do is you can escape the forward slash by a forward slash. And then because we did that, now it's not going to really work right. So now we can escape the forward slash. So, but we still have to escape the, the single quote there. And then whenever we run this, notice how there is just one slash in it. We also got a space. But that's probably because we're escaping another forward slash. So, yeah. So that's still pretty readable. That's a little bit into real expressions. I'm not really going to get into it right now, but more or less, that's it. That's pretty much the video. If you guys like this, leave a like, share it with a buddy. Maybe they're looking to, if you know anybody that's, looking to learn and doesn't mind, some dude trying to do all of this in one single take, which is pretty hard. Again, I cannot emphasize that enough. I can't tell you how many times that I've, erased all these videos. Oh man, minutes, hours just spent doing this. Trust me, I plan on getting video editing software and just kind of giving myself time to speak, so that way I don't mess up and or say something that I definitely shouldn't say on YouTube, period, or even a little bit. YouTube has some gray areas where you can talk about stuff, but I'm going to try to keep it as kid-friendly as possible, though none of these videos I'm going to claim as kid-friendly. Because everybody's different. Everybody has their own, opinions about this. I'm not showing cartoons or whatever on here. I'm not about ready to do that. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Thank you for listening to me explain everything and my little rants and tangents. I'm going to try to do better next time, try to stay more on the subject. So, again, thank you for the time, and I'll see you next time.